Here's why you need to fix the root problem of your back pain instead of treating the symptoms. I'm going to explain this chart to you here. There's a lot going on, but it's really simple if you just follow me along. I'm going to tell you the top part here. This says age, and it goes by 20s, 30s, 40s, all the way to 80s over there. And then this is the damage associated with the muscle imbalance, which is down here, muscle imbalance. As you leave it untreated and it goes into your, over time into your 80s, you're less likely to be able to recover all the way. You're more likely to have permanent damage. So here, roughly in your 20s and 30s, it's fixable. You can fix the problem. If you fix the root muscle imbalance, you probably won't have permanent symptoms. But if you begin to get into your 40s and 50s, then there's a higher chance that you're going to have some permanent damage. And by the time you're in your 60s and beyond, the chances of you having permanent damage are going to be much more likely, which means that you're probably going to have some back pain no matter how much you fix the root problem. So my advice to you as a result is fix it earlier, then you have less problems to deal with. But now let's talk about the specific conditions. That's what I have in these gray bars in the middle right here. The back spasms are where things usually start. People get back spasms and sometimes even in their teen years, but definitely in their 20s and 30s, that's where those predominate. It's still possible to have back spasms the rest of your life, but here is where it's mostly talked about, mostly felt. When we see clients coming here into the clinic, they're typically talking about tight back muscles and spasms where it feels like a Charlie horse is happening in their back muscles and they can't move. Maybe they'll get a stuck joint associated with that. And that would be somebody who responds really well to like chiropractic adjustments. We do what's called manual therapist manipulations, similar thing. But we're loosening up a joint and freeing up the muscles to get over the back spasms. But that's only short term. We still have to fix the root problem so that those back spasms aren't coming back over and over again. But as this same root muscle imbalance starts to last longer over time, then you can develop things like SI joint dysfunctions and spondylolisthesis. These, I won't go into the details of the conditions, but those are more likely to happen in this zone here between your 30s and 50s. You can still get them in your earlier years and in your later years, but this is the zone where that happens the most. Now, these next two conditions, sciatica and disc herniations, can happen pretty much anywhere along the entire age spectrum, but the three conditions down here, they're all kind of lumped together in this thicker bar. We have osteoarthritis, degenerative disc disease, and then stenosis. These conditions don't typically happen in your younger years, but once you hit your 40s, 50s, and beyond, that's where you're more likely to get the arthritis problems, degenerative disc disease, and your stenosis problems. And it's because of the same muscle imbalance across the whole spectrum that causes all these other problems that sets you up to eventually develop stenosis, degenerative disc disease, and arthritis. And more often than not, people that are in this area right here have had back spasms, SI joint dysfunction, sciatica, all these other conditions have happened to them in the past. It's just built up over time. And that's why you're more likely to have permanent symptoms, permanent damage to your spine that's visible like on an X-ray or an MRI in later years in life. But you can fix all this by fixing the muscle imbalance, which is usually, it has to do with weak abdominals that end up causing your back muscles on the back of your spine to begin to dominate. That's just one of the muscle imbalances. You can have weak glute muscles that cause your hip flexors on the front of your hips to also dominate. And there's other muscle imbalances that go into the legs that can indirectly affect your back as well. Now, I go into all this detail in the back pain recovery program, and we talk about the treatment process to fix the muscle imbalance that addresses all of these conditions. And in the back pain recovery program, we have special tracks because there's slightly different treatments or modifications to the main treatment that you'll need to make depending on the condition. And most importantly, it's often the case that you might get diagnosed with osteoarthritis in your spine, but you also have some stenosis, and you might be suffering with sciatica, and you might be having back spasms. You might have several of these things all at the same time, and they shouldn't be treated as separate problems. It's really the same root problem that ties them all together. They just happen at different points in your life, and they can even be layered all at the same time. So fixing the root muscle imbalance is where you need to start. go check out our back pain recovery program. We have a link in the description, and we've got a bunch of videos here on YouTube that go into more detail on exercises and other specific conditions. Go check those out.